Good morning, students. Today we shall continue our class. In the previous classes we have discussed regarding keys. The second topic from part B is joints. Today we shall discuss on the different types of joints and their construction. So let's start our class. In this chapter we are supposed to discuss two types of joints. One is called as the quarter joint, the other one is called as the knuckle joint. First of all, let us discuss the quarter joint. Quarter joint is also called as socket and spigot joint. Why this quarter joint is called by the name quarter joint? A quarter is a flat wedge shaped piece of steel of rectangular cross section. A quarter is nothing but it is a rectangular cross section which is made up of steel material, and it is in the form of a flat wedge shaped piece. So this quarter is used to connect the two rods which are subjected to tensile or compressive forces. This quarter is inserted perpendicular to the axis of the rods. The quarter is uniform in thickness but tapers in width on one side only. How is it inserted in the rods? So usually, as we discussed, it is used to connect rigidly two rods. So therefore, one end of the rod is made into socket by enlarging the diameter. The socket is the one which is having a larger diameter, and the one more end of the second rod is called as a spigot. So slots are cut in both the socket and spigot to insert the quarter. When the two rods are assembled, the quarter is inserted in the slots, and so in such case the quarter will come into contact with the two rods on opposite sides, leaving some clearance on the other two sides as shown in figure. So let us now see how the quarter is inserted. Figure shows two pictures. The first picture shows that the first figure shows that the two quarters are inserted between the two rods. See, we can see the two rods. One is the spigot and another one is the socket. So the socket and the spigot, when they are assembled, the quarter can be inserted. We can see the slots cut in the both socket and the spigot. That is the first figure. The second figure beside that indicates the assembled view. So wherein we can see the cut section, the socket and the spigot are inserted and the quarter is inserted. This is how the quarter joint looks. Since the quarter is used to assemble these two rods, the joint is called as a quarter joint. This is a quarter joint, or the socket and spigot type. Here the figure shows the dimensions of the socket and the spigot and the quarter. Usually the dimensions of the various parts are specified in terms of the diameter of the shaft capital D. We can see in the figure that the other dimensions are given in terms of capital D. So the diameter of the socket and the spigot are taken as capital D, and the other terminologies are specified as shown in figure. So therefore, the students will be supposed to draw the quarter joint when the diameter D will be given. For example, if the diameter D is equal to 25 mm, then we need to calculate the other values and then draw the quarter joint as per this drawing. So in the figure, we can see the front view as well as the side views, that is the two views of a quarter joint. So the question may be asked, suppose the question may be asked like this. So draw two views of socket and spigot quarter joint of diameter of the shaft as 25 mm. In such case, the necessary calculations have to be done and the two views are supposed to be drawn for a quarter joint. Let us now discuss the second type of joint. The second type of joint is a knuckle joint. It is also called by another name as pin joint. So this joint is also used to connect the rods which are in tension or compression which may not be in alignment but their axis will intersect. This joint is not a rigid one. It permits angular movement between the rods. It is commonly used when a reciprocating motion is to be converted into a rotary motion, or a rotary motion has to be converted into a reciprocating motion. Where do we find the usage of such type of joints? Knuckle joints are used for joining D-slide valve and eccentric rod of steam engine. They are also used for air brake of locomotives and many kinds of lever and rod connections. These are some of the applications where we find the usage of knuckle joint or pin joint. How is it in construction? Let us see. So here the knuckle joint consists of a rod which is in the form of an eye, and the other rod is in the form of a fork. So one end of the rod is formed into an eye and the other end into a fork. The eye end of the rod is placed between the fork end, and in such way they are aligned that all the three holes are in alignment. Then the pin is held in position by means of a collar and a taper pin. Let us now see the knuckle joint. So this is the figure which shows the knuckle joint, the disassembled part and the assembled part. So in the first figure we can see the eye part and the fork part of the rod and how these two are assembled. The second figure shows that how these two rods are assembled and how pin is used to make the joint a rigid one. So the pin is held in position by means of a collar and a taper pin. So that's why, since this pin is used, that's why this joint is known as pin joint or knuckle joint. Let us now see the dimensions of the knuckle joint. The figure shows the front view of a knuckle joint. The first figure, the top figure, shows the front view, and the other figure below shows the top view of the knuckle joint. So we can see that the knuckle joint is been shown in the form of a front and top view. Here the dimensions of the other part are calculated again in terms of the diameter D. We can see here the shaft diameter is taken as capital D both for the fork as well as for the eye end. So the shaft diameter is taken as capital D and the other dimensions are calculated in terms of this capital D. So students are supposed to draw the sectional front view and top view of the knuckle joint. So the question may be asked like this: draw a knuckle joint to connect two rods of 25 mm diameter showing sectional front view and top view. Indicate all the proportions with dimensions. In such a case, first we are supposed to calculate all the necessary calculations and then draw according to the figure shown here. So with this we complete this chapter, that is joints. So let us meet again in our next class with some other topics from part B. Thank you.